We're talking about what's happening in the 731 on the Hub City Now with your host, Tyrone Tony Reed Jr.
Hello and welcome to Hub City Now. I'm your host, Tyrone Tony Reed Jr. And on today, we have with us Bill Marable, who is the publisher and CEO of the West Tennessee Examiner here in Jackson, Tennessee. I've known Mr. Marable for several years now because I freelance for him, and he gives me the opportunity to write some stories. And I'm going to just call you Bill since we're just talking. How did you just give us a little background on you and how you got into the newspaper game?
Well, I'm Bill Marable. I'm born and raised in Humboldt. Attended Humboldt City School System. Graduated from Humboldt High School in 1980. Did a brief stint in the military. I was in the Army for 3 years. Okay. And got out and kind of pedaled around a little bit and found my way to college. I tell people all the time I attended every college in Jackson.
Did you?
Ended up graduating from Jackson State. Okay. But I got into the newspaper business while I was in college. A student at Lambeth University, Dr. Kenneth Newman, was an English or literature professor there, I believe. Okay. And he had given us a writing exercise, and he saw something. I hadn't even declared a major. I was just going to school because I thought that was the thing to do. Right. And he saw something in my writing and sent me to the Jackson Sun at that point. And
I never knew you worked for the Jackson Sun.
Well, I did not long.
Oh, okay.
I stayed there a couple of weeks. And
what was your job there?
I was just there to type in information that people would bring in. Okay. Type that in. I wasn't a writer or anything with them. Okay. And I went back to Dr. Newman and told him that, I don't think that's for me. I didn't. And he said, well, there's a guy that just started a newspaper a couple of years ago, a black guy, and he's got a black newspaper and he needs some help. Okay. And he sent me to Minister Bobby Lee, and who owned the Metro Forum newspaper at the time. Okay. And Bobby was gracious enough to teach me everything that he knew at the time about newspaper layout and design. And he kind of just let me have free rein. And,
how many years did you do that for?
I was with Bobby for 9 years. Okay. And
what years were?
I guess 92 until 2000, 91 until 2000. Okay. And in June of 2000, I started my own paper, the West Tennessee Examiner, after leaving Bobby in the Metro Forum.
What was that like? You started your own newspaper.
It was an adventure, man. It was a challenge. I always say I didn't start it to end it. So those first couple of years were just hacking along every day, every week, trying to get the paper out. And,
was it just you?
It was me just starting off. Yes.
Okay. How many years was it like that for?
I guess I struggled through there for a couple of years by myself, and gradually, as things began to pick up, I was able to bring in more people. To eventually, at our heyday, I had a staff of about 30. Wow. Some full time, mostly part time, stringers and photographers. Things kind of fell off a little bit with the. We made our money with the foreclosures. Mm-hmm. That's how we made money. And when that market dried up, things kind of dried up at the paper. So I'm back down to doing it all myself again. Right. And with a couple of writers like yourself.
All right. What is it like for you to be, I believe you all are the only African-American newspaper I know here in Jackson, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And you also serve what other cities in West Tennessee? We
serve Humboldt, Milan, Brownsville, and Jackson.
Okay. What is that like, providing that service here? And because sometimes news can be slanted and we can be portrayed in an unkind light as African Americans sometimes. And I just got to talking to my barber this afternoon about that, about how they usually go get the person who can't speak very well and missing a tooth and look like they just woke up, and that's the person they put on the news or in the newspaper where it doesn't really, you can't really understand what they're saying. What kind of responsibility do you feel that you have in portraying and telling the news and delivering the news, but also from an African American standpoint?
Well, I have to think back to the when I was with Bobby Lee at the Metro Forum. We used to attend NNPA, National Newspaper Publishers Association conventions yearly, and one year we were in Washington D.C. and they gave us a video, DVD of the history of the black press, and that just stuck with me there, because there was a time, if it were not for the black press, blacks would not have been in the paper, in the newspapers, or unless it was for committing a crime or something. Right. So, beginning with the West Tennessee Examiner, it was I took pride in presenting black people in the news in a positive light. Right. We were we called ourselves the good newspaper, and for 10 years, that's what we did was highlighted all the good things that were going on within the African American community, and not only just the African American community, but the white community as well. Okay. We did covered a lot of events and kind of put the spotlight on more African Americans in the community and what they were doing.
So what is it like now? Because I know that one of your staff members is actually your daughter. Is that correct?
That's right.
What is it like working with your daughter?
Well, it's sometimes I don't know if I'm working for her or she's working for me. But it's fun. She started with me shortly after I started the West Tennessee Examiner. She came aboard with me and she stuck with me. I think now Shanika's been with me about 13 years. Wow. And she's my right hand and my left hand, so that's fun. And then I get to work with her kids. She's gone through 3 pregnancies working with me, and her kids all grew up. I tell them they all grew up in the newspaper business. So.
You got some future journalists on your hands.
That's right.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more with the publisher and CEO of the West Tennessee Examiner, Bill Marable, about what's going on now with Black Lives Matter, the Democratic and Republican convention, and just everyday news. We'll be right back.
Depend on your tires. Let R&R Tire Express keep you on the road and safe with a complete set of new tires from the brands you trust, starting as low as $16 per week with our pay-as-you-go program. Choose easy payment options, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, and at R&R, complete installation with lifetime rotating balance, flat repair, and 12 months 24-hour roadside assistance is absolutely free. Only at R&R Tire Express.
Welcome back to Hub City Now. I'm your host, Tyrone Tony Reed Jr., and we're here again with Bill Marable, who is the publisher and CEO of the West Tennessee Examiner here in Jackson, Tennessee. Right now, we're going to talk about some of the news that that news coverage, things that we've seen in the press, and what his thoughts are on those events. Let's start with the one that everyone's currently talking about, which is the Black Lives Matter movement. In talking with a lot of people, I've seen where they related this back to the Civil Rights Movement, in which we African Americans, are tired of injustice and are ready to march and do whatever they can to uplift their community. What are your thoughts on that? And in fact, you just covered a march here in Jackson, Tennessee on Saturday. By the time everyone watches this, it would have been a couple of weeks. But tell us about your experience in covering the Black Lives Matter movement.
The Black Lives Matter movement, I think, it's akin to the civil rights movement in a way, in which that you have a large segment of the population, which the African American population, who's, for lack of a better word, is fed up with the treatment that they're receiving across the country from police departments, sheriff departments, law enforcement in general. I mean, when you have video after video, every day a different video pops up on Facebook or YouTube, showing where a black person is complying, doing everything that they're supposed to do. That's right, that we've been taught to do when approached by the police, and yet and still you have black people dying.
Right,
at the hand.
And like you said, it's amazing because I mean we live in an age now where there's technology, there's Facebook, and one young woman, she Facebook Live, did a video live where her boyfriend was shot in the car.
Right, doing what he was supposed to do. Right. I mean, when it gets to that point, and that's why I say it's akin to the civil rights movement in a way. The 50s and 60s, African Americans were more docile. Mm-hmm. They went along to get along. Right. Nowadays, it's not so much the case. I mean, there's marching, but the younger generation that we're dealing with today, we don't have a Martin Luther King to kind of temper,
right, or teach them patience.
Right. Everybody wants
order.
You know, they want satisfaction and they want it now. Right. You know, it's to the point where you have Black Lives Matter versus White Lives Matter, but it doesn't have to be that way. It should be that just police chiefs all around the country, sheriffs all around the country, captains, people in positions of power within the police departments all around the country, they know who their bad apples are. Right. They know these people when they hire them. I'm a business owner. If I hire somebody within 3 hours, I know whether or not they're going to work out or not. Right. You know, I know that. Right. So the police departments, it's incumbent upon them across the nation to start weeding out. Weed and seed, just like they did with the weed and seed program in the neighborhoods, tearing down abandoned houses. Well, they need to weed and seed the police departments. Right. You know, get those bad apples out of the way, because contrary to what people may believe, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. Right. You know, you have people looking at entire police departments now instead of looking at one individual within the police department. Right. So there's people are fed up. Especially when you're doing what you're supposed to do, the way you're supposed to do it, and you still see people getting shot. Right, because I just recently saw a man who was trying to de-escalate a situation with an autistic man. Right. And he was laying on the ground with his hands up, and they said that they were trying to shoot the autistic man, but they shot the man who was complying. And, well, you were trying to protect him, but you still end up injuring him. And either way, if he had shot the autistic guy, right? Because the man was telling him on the ground. He says he doesn't have a gun. I think he said it was a toy truck or something like that. Right. And don't shoot. And they still shot him. So and then again, you have journalists or news anchors and politicians who tell us that we didn't see what we saw. Right. Exactly. On the video, if there's a different, there's more to it than what we saw. I mean, people have been convicted and sentenced to death with less evidence than some of these videos that we've seen around here. Mm-hmm. And until they start convicting some of these police officers, the thing in Boston where Freddie Gray, license to carry, ended up dead with a broken neck or back. Right. And no one takes held the blame for that. Right. Exactly. So people are just it's the climate in America right now is very tense. Right. When it comes to community relations between the police departments and the African American community.
What responsibility does the media have in, I guess, reporting those events? Because it seems like if you watch certain stations, and I won't call their names, but they want you to believe that Black Lives Matter is a militant group akin to the KKK, which is ridiculous. And then there are others who think, there are some members in there who take things to the extreme, but not everybody. Kind of like in any group, you have extreme Christians. The Ku Klux Klan called themselves Christians, but they were very extreme. I mean, they were, I don't know how you can compare a movement that's protesting injustice to a group that pulled people out of their homes and hung them and lynched them and murdered them in front of their families and blew up their houses.
There's no comparison.
But what responsibility do journalists have in reporting these events?
Well, my responsibility with the crime scene is to keep it in the forefront. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people who were abused by the police or in those situations, Sandra Bland, mm-hmm. The young brother in Minnesota, we have to, my focus is to keep those people in the limelight. Right. Keep them in the paper every week. They didn't die. Don't let their deaths go in vain. Right. It's uncomfortable to see that. It's uncomfortable to read it. But maybe we need to get out of our comfort zone a little bit. I'm making my goal is to keep that in the headlines. Right. Not so much as to cause tension, but to make sure that these people are remembered. Mm-hmm. And what the way that they died, we need to remember that, because if we don't,
it can happen to anybody.
That's right. I have 3 sons, mm-hmm. and I'm a black male, right? And it's at the point where I don't know what to do if I'm pulled over. Mm-hmm. I pray to God every day that I keep my speed down and don't run any red lights or anything, because I don't know how to react if I'm stopped by the police. I don't know to get out of the car, lay on the ground, or sit in the car, put my hands on the steering wheel. Either way, I've seen bad things happen. Right. And not all the time bad things happen, but when they do happen with the social media that we have nowadays, everything gets
blows up.
That's right. So
very fast.
It's not so, don't blame me because I'm black and got beat down. Right. Blame the guy that beat me down. Right. He's, that's the guy that got, the people on the videos, you have certain people in the media who are blaming
the victims.
Mm-hmm. And that's just ludicrous.
Right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk more with Bill Marable, the publisher and CEO of the West Tennessee Examiner. We're going to talk more about his business and also a new magazine that just recently came out this year. We'll be right back.
In a world obsessed with throwing shade and putting others down, there's a college boldly committed to doing the exact opposite. A college that understands you are not defined by your yesterdays, where dreams are rekindled and hope restored. A place of new beginnings, transformation, and honor. Where a Christian liberal arts education is more than a piece of paper. It's where you start your story all over again. Start your story and discover the new Lane College.
Hello, welcome back to Hub City Now. I'm your host, Tyrone Tony Reed Jr., and I'm here again with Bill Marable, the publisher and CEO of the West Tennessee Examiner here in Jackson, Tennessee. We've been talking about news coverage. We've been talking about Black Lives Matter. We haven't talked about the conventions that happened a couple of weeks ago by the time everyone sees this. They're actually happening right now while we're taping, but it's going to be a couple of weeks after when you see this. What has been some of the highlights for you as far as the convention goes, and how do you think they apply to us here in West Tennessee?
Because I'm a journalist, I tuned in a little bit to the Republican convention. Just because I didn't want anybody to tell me what I saw, I wanted to see it myself. Right. And I just can't understand, why or how people can throw their vote behind Donald Trump. Maybe it's not for me to figure out, but listening to last night, listened to First Lady Michelle Obama's speech, and I'm telling you, that was just she was elegant, well spoken, and she brought her point across. Senator Al Franken added a little humor to his speech and brought that across. And then when you get Bernie Sanders standing up last night and with a 5-minute round of applause,
right?
I think the Democrats are doing it right. It's going to take a windfall of votes, to get people to get Hillary Clinton elected, because Trump he's running a campaign of no substance. He's running a campaign on sound bites.
It's pretty amazing that he's even the nominee. I mean, it's almost like we're in a movie where the impossible can happen. He's held no office at all, and all these people who seemed more qualified than him were knocked out the running, and now he's their Republican nominee.
It's a popularity contest within the Republican Party, and he's not saying anything. He's not offering any suggestions. And I've voted Republican before.
Yeah,
I've voted Democrat before. And there's no way, as Bobby Lee used to say, in the West Hell, that I could vote for Donald Trump. I don't see why people are fascinated with him.
Do you think that within, I know you said he really, he's running on a campaign of no substance. Have you heard anything from the Democratic side where I keep waiting for them to tell me exactly how you're going to fix this? You keep telling me that you're going to give me this, but what are the steps? Do you think that's missing out of their dialogue with the people of the nation?
Well, they're trying to push the for the increase in minimum wage. They're going to have to show how they're going to pay for that, and how they're going to make arrangements for small business owners who can't afford to start an employee off at $15 an hour. So they're going to have to make some concrete moves on that. Tony, neither party at this point is saying much on what I'm going to do. They're saying a lot about what they're going to do, but not how they're going to do it.
Right.
And I think that's where the voter comes. You have to come in and as an individual voter and educate yourself on each candidate and their stance on issues that are important to you.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about a new magazine that Bill has put out called Good News, which I have written for, which I've had the honor of writing for. And just tell us a little bit about that magazine and why you decided to do it now.
Well, as I stated before in the introduction, we started out as a good newspaper, the Good Newspaper. Kind of went away from it after the foreclosure boom went bust. We kind of went. We had a prototype magazine that we ran in Memphis for a while. It was the crime scene.
Okay.
And we ran it in Memphis back in 2008 for a couple of months, and people liked it.
Okay.
And we put a price tag on it, and it started to sell. And with the decline in advertising for the Good News, I had to make some changes to accommodate that loss of revenue.
Right.
So I went from a free publication to a paid publication.
Okay.
crime scene was doing well on its own. Good news, not so much. But here lately, I've had a request from people in the community, that there's no outlet for good news anymore. Right. We do have a local daily paper, but people still say that that's not covering the majority of the good news.
Because a lot of people don't realize, well, I'm sure they probably do now, but the old motto is, if it bleeds, it leads.
That's right.
And that's the bread and butter of the news business is, hey, if we can find the most horrible thing that we can find to write about, hey, let's put it on the front page, or let's breaking news. Let's break in and tell people how they can fear for the rest of their lives.
That's right. With the resurgence of the good news paper, it's just, it got to the point where I needed to do something. I every day I get a whole email box full of good news, and I just put it to the side, and I said, well, let me just try to do something with this, and on a monthly basis, which I could do something and try to keep the costs down for on that production, and ran into a printer in Union City that was able to print that magazine for me, a color magazine, full color, 16 pages, at a reasonable price, and we're gonna stick with that for a while and see how it goes. We've been getting pretty positive feedback. We started out the first month, the second month, trying to sell it, and the sales weren't. It's just not gonna. I don't think people are gonna buy good news. I mean, I just don't think they will. So it's last month we kind of changed it up to go back to our roots, and we put it out in a bunch of churches, businesses, hair salons, places like that, just so people can pick it up. Right. We also are in Walgreens and Dollar General stores, all the Walgreens and all the Dollar General stores in Jackson. Okay. With both the crime scene and the good news. Okay.
Well, you'll want to make sure you pick up a copy of the good news, because I'm gonna brag about myself a little bit. I've interviewed Danny Glover for the good news. Right. I've interviewed the cast of Underground for good news. I just interviewed a singer, Candace Floyd, who's about to come out with a CD, or has it dropped already?
3 months away.
Okay, so be looking out for that. If you want to know more about the West Tennessee Examiner, you can look them up on Facebook, or you can look up Bill Marable on Facebook. If you want to know more, if you want to find out where you can get a paper or a good news magazine, it's worth your effort to find it. We like to thank you for being here today, Bill. We appreciate you being here. We also like to thank our sponsors, Baskerville's Funeral Home, R&R Tires Express and Custom Wheels, Styles Menswear, and the City of Brownsville. We thank you for tuning in to Hub City Now. I've been your host, Tyrone Tony Reed Jr., and I'll see you next time.